guitar legends, we are looking at Queen guitar solo, Don't Stop Me Now today. So, first thing you want to do is have a look at this tab. This is what we're going to be working through for this lesson, okay? It's not a crazy hard solo actually, it's quite simple, it's a good beginner solo, but making it sound really good is a bit more tricky, okay? Making it sing is more tricky. So first of all, try and get a nice sound with your amplifier, your guitar, your pedals, right? You want quite a lot of drive so that the bends are sustaining. But you hear it fading out there after a few seconds. So Brian May uses a little bit of drive, but he doesn't actually use it a lot, okay? Just enough to give a few seconds of sustain, right? You can use a bit more if you want to, it's totally up to you. Okay, so adjust the gain or the drive, they're the same thing. Okay, just adjust that on your amplifier, get a nice sweet spot, what you think sounds good so it's not feeding back. You don't want any feedback sounds, right? You can also add a very slight flanger effect if you want, or phaser or chorus, just to thicken it up a bit, but you don't have to do that. Now, if you look at these first two lines, this is the first half of the solo, guys. It's pretty much the same thing, isn't it? But the first half with the bend is just slightly different. He just moves the melody up on the second line. All right, so let's start from the beginning. Okay, we're going to start on fret 8 with the third finger, but as we're doing a bend, you can also use your second finger to help push the string up. Okay, so we pick and then bend. It's quite a slow bend, it's lasting about 3 beats, 1, 2, 3, and then we come down. Okay, so once we're up, we're going to pick again, and then bend down. So we pick, bend up, pick, bend down, right? Now once we get to the bottom, we do a pull off. So you pull the third finger down, make sure you're actually pulling the string. Okay, and your first finger needs to be in place on the 6th fret, hence the number 6. So we have 1, 2, 3. If you want to add a bit of vibrato at the top there, you can do. So have a look at the second bar. Can you see it's exactly the same? So there's repetition here. Okay, a lot of the epic solos have repetition in the melody. Even if it's just moved up a few notes, if the rhythm repeats, that's still repetition. Okay, which happens in the second line, as you can see there. All right, so we do this twice. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's just the same thing. Now he really kind of drags the time around here. He really feels the music and he just drags it about. So when you're playing along, it kind of sounds like he's almost playing out of time, but he's just kind of dragging the time a little bit. So, but don't worry about that. Just keep it simple when you're playing it. Just go. So simple melody. Again, we're on the 8th fret, and then the 6th. But then you're gonna have to slide down to the 5th fret. Okay. The last note, we play with the second finger. So we do like that. So just play this phrase on its own first, don't join it up yet. Squiggly line just means vibrato if you want to add that in. Okay, a bit of finger shake there. Sometimes you overreach and you go a bit sharp. So instead of here, you might go a little sharp. So really be careful with this bend. You can practice just trying to get to the right pitch there. And you can even test it by going to the 10th fret. It should sound like this. You can hear that was slightly flat. So really practice making sure that it's the 10th fret note there. Now this next bar, we're going to start the phrase with. Now again, you can use your 4th finger. I tend to just use my 3rd finger. All right, so I do 11th fret B string, then slide down to the 10th fret. Now I just pick downwards for this whole solo, by the way. Okay, you can pick up sometimes if you want to, or pretty much always pick down. Okay, so again, you can use your 4th finger if you want. I just used my third. So 11, 10, 8, 10. Now you can see those little squiggles, they're just rests, they're just silences. Rest, 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 rest. They're just little gaps. Okay, but you just need to listen and imitate, that's all you have to do. Now add on this final note, okay, we're on 10th fret of the B string for the final note. Okay, and it's going to link into the next bar, that's why it has a tie, that's why there's a black curvy line. Okay, because we're going to hold it into the next bar, so we have... Okay, so we start with this, bum, 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 bum. Then we push. So just start with the first part of this phrase. Just start with 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. Then the last part we do. Okay, so I'm gonna pick, then pull off. See that? And then second finger has to jump up past the G string to the D string. 10th fret. Okay, make sure you use your second finger for this note. Trust me, because you're gonna have to do a bend straight after. So you need your third finger free. Okay, so you do this. But whilst you're doing it, have your third finger ready on the B string 11th fret, because that's the next note we're going to play. So this final phrase we had. Try with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now have a look at this second line. Can you see how the rhythm is pretty much identical for most of it? Okay, so there's repetition there, which again helps with making this solo more catchy. Good job, Brian, mate. But the bends have moved up. So instead of going from here, we're going to go from here, from the 11th fret. But it's still the same pattern, it's still the same thing, pretty much. All right, just a slight variation. So 11th fret, we bend up a tone, then we do the bend down. But careful here, when you do the pull off, it's not a tone pull off now, it's a semitone pull off. So when we get to the bottom, we pull off, but we need the second finger right next to it on the 10th fret of the B string. Okay, that when we were down here, we had 2 frets away, didn't we? But here we got 1 fret away. Again, we have 2 of the same bar, so we do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now this little phrase in the third bar, again I do third finger, second, first, then third. So I'm almost kind of moving position. I start here, then I move over. First 2 in this position, move over. Alright. So far for this line we have. Okay, now after this we have this exactly the same as we did before. Now this time, because I'm in position here now instead of here, I am here. So I actually use my 4th finger this time. But for you guys, if you want, just do exactly what you did last time. You can use the 3rd finger. So you do the start of the phrase, bum, 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 bum. Now, instead of playing, what we're actually going to play this time is, okay, so this time we have an extra 10-8. So we're going to play 1 and 2 and 3 and like that. 3, 4, 1 and 2. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then we have this. So just like before, 10, pull off 8. But instead of the D string, we're going to be on the G string. Okay, then we have to slide down to our outro melody. So this final phrase sounds like this. Okay, now, so we've basically done the main solo, but Brian May just continues for a few lines, as you can see there. He continues for a few lines over the vocals, over Freddie Mercury singing. He just adds in a few little licks here. So I'll show you these as well. You don't have to do these, of course. For those of you that want to take your playing to the next level, make sure you sign up to my premium membership website. You'll gain access to all my backing tracks, all of my lessons, and I'll teach you how to improvise, solo, and play advanced chords. Enjoy the rest of your lesson, guys. So to come into this third line, okay, it's kind of halfway through the bar, which is a little confusing. So out of this final phrase, so again, we kind of come in just after B3, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so just work on this intro phrase. So we start third finger on the 5th fret of the D string, right? And we're going to pick, then slide up, then slide down 2 frets. Right? Quite a fast slide. Then we pull off for the 3rd fret. So I've only picked once, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 notes there. And then we pick again for that final 3. Okay, so we go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so coming out of this phrase. Now this next bit. You don't have to add the 4th finger. Okay, that does make it quite difficult to get to the next note, but that's pretty much what I'm hearing him do. So bear in mind where our position is. We've just played this. So now use the 3rd finger and slide into the 7th fret. So that means you pick from the 5th fret and then you slide like this. Then we pick on the 5th fret again. Like that. Now once you're there and you pick the 5th fret again, we can do a nice pick, hammer on, pull off. So we only pick once for this little phrase. You're going to hammer on to the 7th fret, then pull off again. Remember, when you pull off, don't just bring the finger off, pull the string down. Right? So we have. This final note is the pinky on the A string, 8th fret, okay? So, all together we have 1, 2, 3. And again, 1, 2, 3. Now, as soon as you do that note, you're gonna have to jump up to get this last phrase. That's why it's difficult. So from this final note, you have to hop down to 6th fret on the B string with this 1st finger. And we have to go straight into the next bit. Now some of you might struggle with this little flurry here. Okay, I actually teach flurries in my online course. Okay, I teach you how to try and just add in random fast notes, but you're only picking once every 4 notes, but it sounds so fast. Right, and that's what he's doing here. It's the same thing. Okay, it's exactly what I teach in my course. Now, what we're going to do, we start on the 6th fret, as I said. We're going to hammer on, then pull off. Now, after we've done that, this 2nd finger is going to hammer onto the 7th fret of the G string. But when it does, take the 1st finger off slightly. Because if you don't, you can hear when we play 2 notes at the same time, it distorts. right? But if you release the first finger, as the second finger comes down, watch. It's clean, right? It's only when you have two notes at once that it distorts. So again, pick, hammer on, pull off, hammer on. Now, the hard thing is, we're gonna have to jump straight back down to the 6th fret. As soon as we hammer on the second finger, we're back down. So we pick twice in this whole thing, the first note and the last note. Yep. And we just do this phrase 3 times. Now I actually hybrid pick this part because it's easier. So on that last part, I actually pick this note instead of hammering it on, and then I hybrid pick the first finger. So I go pick, pick, hybrid, pick, pick, hybrid. Right, so I use my second finger to pluck. But if you're not used to this, it's going to feel weird. But this is how, another thing I teach in my course to help play faster. Right, so I'm barely doing anything with this right hand, but you can just go crazy. For now, just keep it simple, right? Just do the pick, like that. Just try and get the hammer-ons properly. Again, you don't have to play this little phrase. Just skip it out if it's too difficult. You can just play the rest of the solo. It really doesn't matter. Now we have 2 more phrases, right? We have this, and then we have, okay. Now, it's not very hard to play them, but making them sing is a little more difficult. And getting the timing right as well. So after the word Fahrenheit, yeah, it goes 1, 2. Yeah, so if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Yeah, so that's that first phrase. We do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We hit it 5 times, yeah? 1, 2. Now you can hear Brian May kind of does a pinch harmonic. Okay, if you don't have enough drive, like I do not have right now, it just doesn't really work. You can kind of hear that. It's kind of coming through. Again, pinch harmonics though, you need to learn how to do that, practice that as a separate thing. It's another thing I teach in my course. Easier on the bass note. Much easier. On these top notes, it's almost not worth doing. Okay, you can almost do it very subtle if you got good control. But just play the note, trust me, much easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The final phrase comes in on the word you. So, I'm gonna make a supersonic man out of you. Again, there's kind of like a half of a pinch harmonic there on the last note. But again, you need a lot more drive. You need a louder amp with hopefully some distortion pedals to give yourself that natural drive for that to work. Okay, so you don't have to do that. You can just keep it simple. It sounds just as good. So the way to play this phrase, we have, that's the first half. Okay, so you get your 2 fingers ready to begin with. So first finger is on E string, 8th fret. Second finger is on B string, 9th fret. And as soon as you pick it, you're gonna hammer on the 3rd finger to the B string, 10th fret, like this. Yeah, so we do. Okay, so first one is hammer on, and then we're gonna hit it twice again, so like that. It comes in halfway through beat 4, so we do 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, a 1, 2, 3, out of you. I'm gonna make a supersonic out of you. Now this phrase happens twice. Yeah, bang, dang, dang, bang, dang, dang. Then we just have the note here, we just keep playing the B string. Okay, we do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. After beat 3. So it goes like this. I'm gonna make a supersonic man out of you. So the timing of this phrase is quite odd when you're trying to play it without the music, but trust me, once you play it with the music a few times, you will just get the hang of it. As long as you realize that it's the same thing twice, and then just 3 10s on the end. Okay, that will help you when you're trying to play along with it, because at least you know for a fact what it is. Alright guys, that is everything. So try and play along to me. I'm going to give you some different speeds. So start with the slower speeds and then try and work your way up to full speed gradually. Alright, really take your time with it. If you need to pause the video and practice specific parts, that's the best thing to do. Okay, don't just keep trying to play from the beginning every time. If you're going to keep messing up on one part, pause the video and just work on that bar. Try and figure out where you're going wrong. Alright, if you found this video helpful, please give it a like. Make sure you subscribe as well. Obviously, hit the notification bell icon. Okay, good luck with the play along. I will see you in my next video.